Hello everyone, Simple Sorcerer here, and welcome to my look at the new Veigar changes that we'll be getting in the Mages update. Now do keep in mind that these changes are on the PvE, so they are subject to change, and may vary when they reach live, but this should give you a good overview of what Riot have in mind for us. I would like to give an extra big thank you to fellow Veigar main Necroside for letting me borrow his PvE account and making this video possible. Now without further ado, let's begin. The Veigar rework brings two major changes to Veigar's kit regarding his passive and his ultimate. His current passive, which gives him more mana regen the lower mana he has been completely removed and replaced by a new passive, Phenomenal Evil. Power! Veigar now gets AP simply by harassing the enemy champion with spells. This means that alongside Q farming, you can also get AP by bullying the enemy champion, trading in lane, and simply attacking with any spell. This means that stacking up AP will be much easier than it currently is. And although this also means that you'll have a bit less mana regen than before, it doesn't really make that much of a difference once you got a few levels under your belt and a margin item or two. In my experience, it only really affected me until I backed my first time and got my first mana item. I think this is a very good change for Veigar. It both fits his theme better, and it makes him far stronger than he currently is. Being able to rack up AP by trading with the enemy champion makes all the difference in the world. You are no longer punished by trading with the enemy opponent, running lower on mana and missing out on Q stacks as you would before. Instead, you can now get the best of both worlds by getting your opponent's health lower while growing stronger yourself. Your passive is not limited to your Q either. You get AP for hitting champions with all of your spells, including your stun. This means that you can effectively get 3 AP by doing a combo on an opponent, 4 if you use your ultimate. And if you do land down a tank down, you also get an additional 3 AP. So getting 7 AP for a kill is something you'll get used to. Of course, you still get AP for lost hitting minions with your Q, making it now possible to get 2 AP for poking an enemy champion through a low health minion. This makes laning phase more diverse and gives you more options for stacking your ability power. My guess is that Riot might actually nerf this passive before it hits live servers. It is really great to use, but it does seem a little bit too overpowered in its current state. I think they might want to give it a bit of a cooldown, or maybe restrict it to your Qs and ults only, to balance it out a little bit. Veigar's other major change is his ultimate ability, Primordial Burst, which has been completely revamped. Rather than dealing more damage the more AP your enemy target has, it now deals more damage the lower their current health is. Getting rid of the enemy AP scaling of his ultimate was something I hoped they would never do, as it was the last remaining fragment of his Anti-Mage background. It also played well into his identity of being able to turn the tables on whoever tormented him in lane. It was a nice revenge mechanic in my opinion, and I thought it was good gameplay wise, but I can't see why they would remove it. Many others saw this as an unhealthy piece of gameplay, and as much as I liked it, I can see why they might think so. Picking an AD champion or building magic resist was what helped the most against him, and although I personally think this added to the game in terms of counterplay through champion picks and item builds, I can see why others might disagree and felt it was more of a frustration almost being forced into what to pick and build. His new Primordial Burst instead deals the same amount of damage no matter who you use it on. Its strength lies in when you use it rather than on who you use it. This gives Veigar more versatility in being able to burst more champions more effectively. It also rewards the good Veigar player who knows when to use this ultimate for the best effect. The damage now scales upwards depending on how low your target's current health is, capping out at 33% health. Using your ultimate on a full HP opponent will generally deal less damage than it currently does, but using it on someone with around 70% health or lower will wield much greater results. This pretty much means that one-shotting with Primordial Burst isn't as likely to happen anymore, but you can now effectively two-shot nearly anyone, and tanks aren't nearly as much of a problem anymore. I was able to get my ultimate to deal around 3000 max damage with around 1000 AP or so, which is feasible in a normal or ranked game. As you can see, this is much more damage than you can get in a normal game right now. It will take a while to get used to these changes, but overall I would have to say that this is a huge upgrade to Veigar's current state, and I'm really looking forward to it reaching the live service. It is also worth mentioning that his mana costs have been reduced across the board, 20 from his Q and ult, and 10 from his W and E. This helps combat the removal of his current passive. In terms of AP items, a lot of them have been nerfed, but Zhonya's now gives 10% cooldown reduction, so it's not as damaging to Q farming to pick it up early. Athene's has been completely remade into a support item, which gives larger shields and heals towards allies, and Morello's now gives more AP and refunds mana on assists and kills. There's also a new item called Hextech Protobelt, which lets you dash a short distance, giving Veigar more mobility and pick potential. It helps initiating teamfights, dodging skill shots, and running away. It also does quite a bit of damage late game as it scales off of your AP. Just keep in mind that it won't let you dash over walls. I would be doing a disservice not to mention the elemental dragon buffs. There are 4 elemental dragon buffs in total, but the one which I find most interesting is the water dragon's buff. Slaying the water dragon gives your entire team an absurd amount of health and mana regen, and with a reduction of blue buff's length, this will be vital for mages. I look forward to seeing what these changes will bring to the game, and I hope you do too. Good luck and happy Q farming.